Every division in the NFL going into 2019 has a X factor. It has a player, it has a unit or a coach that could make or break the division, that could totally change the outlook of a division this season. And for the NFC South, the Atlanta Falcons defense is that unit. It could be great. It could be what it was in 2017, a top 10 defense. Or it could be a unit in 2018 that doesn't quite have enough depth, is maybe lacking at a couple of positions. We could see a team that could be in the playoffs with a good defense or could miss the playoffs in a tough division without that good defense. Gronk, spike the like button, subscribe to The Bottom Line View for more NFL videos just like this. It's Mitch here of The Bottom Line View. Comment your opinion. Do you agree with me? Do you think the Atlanta defense is an X factor for the 2019 NFC South? Do you think if this unit is really good, Atlanta's going to be really good? Do you think if this unit isn't so good, then Atlanta may miss the playoffs? Or do you see another unit, player, or coach being that X factor for the NFC South in 2019? The reason why I have Atlanta's defense as the X factor of the NFC South in 2019 is because I see Atlanta's offense being really, really explosive. It's going to put up points. It's going to put up yards. It's going to dominate in 2019, and it's going to be one of the better units in football. That being said, without a good defense, Atlanta's team could not make the playoffs. You could have a great offense, or you could have a great defense, but if the other side of the football is not so good in a tough division like the NFC South, where you have three teams that could potentially make the playoffs and have made the playoffs over the past 3 or 4 years, then you're in trouble. Because Atlanta cannot be a one side of the football team in 2019 the way they were in 2018. Because Carolina is too good, and the New Orleans Saints are too good for Atlanta to just be a one-trick pony. I know. Atlanta had a lot of injuries in 2018, and that's the reason why you're going to tell me that Atlanta's defense was subpar. But when I look at Atlanta's defense going into 2019, there are concerns that I do see. I do see concerns in terms of edge rush. I don't know if Takk McKinley has what it takes to be a star pass rusher in the NFL. He might just be average. When you look at Vic Beasley, I've never really been a fan. Even in that season where he led the NFL in sacks, he proved to be a little bit overrated in that regard. And these two players have really failed to bring a consistent pass rush week in, week out from the edge for Atlanta's defense. Grady Jarrett is awesome, but besides him, where's the interior defensive line depth? And this is what I'm talking about with the injuries for Atlanta. Yes, they sustain injuries to key players like Keanu Neal, Deion Jones, Ricardo Allen. All of these players were hurt. All these players missed significant time, significant snaps, and thus you had backups playing in their roles. And that's why your defense was bad. It goes without saying, you need depth in the NFL. You need players behind them if these players get hurt. What if Keanu Neal and Deion Jones are on the football field this year, but Grady Jarrett isn't? Who's going to replace them? When you're talking about Atlanta's defense, I also see concerns at cornerback. Outside of Desmond Trufant, who's been a little bit hit and miss throughout his career, who do you have behind him? Is Isaiah Oliver going to be a guy to step up at the number 2 cornerback position? How are you going to utilize DeMonte Casey? Is he going to play slot corner? Is he going to play a little bit of safety? Do you have enough depth at linebacker? Is Devondre Campbell and Deion Jones enough at this position? Carolina, I believe, is going to be a very talented football team this year. Cam Newton's back and healthy. They added to their offensive line. They added to their defensive line. They're overall a stronger roster. The New Orleans Saints were a playoff team last year and were basically a blown call away from going to the Super Bowl. These are two extremely talented teams within the NFC South that are going to give Atlanta issues. And what I'm trying to say is the reason why Atlanta's defense is the X factor of this division is because if they have a great defense, if all these pieces stay healthy and some of these players develop behind them, then you're talking about Atlanta as a team that could potentially even win this division. But if this defense isn't any good and it's closer to the 2018 edition and not the 2017 edition, then we're talking about a team that's going to possibly be third in this division. I don't think they could get any worse than that. I think they'll be better than the Bucs regardless of their defensive play. But if they don't have a good enough defense, against two teams that are pretty well balanced in the Panthers and the Saints, then I don't see Atlanta making the playoffs this year. So it really comes down to Keanu Neal, Deion Jones, Grady Jarrett, Atlanta's defense to make a stand and to bring and rise up in Atlanta and allow Matt Ryan to not have to carry this team so much. Allow Julio Jones not have to carry this team. And we'll see what Dan Quinn can do on the defensive side of the football in 2019. And we'll see if the 2019 Atlanta defense can make the Falcons that team in the NFC South in 2019.